What's up, party people? It's Keys Dan with RadioWhat.com, DJLittleRock.com, coming to you live and in living color from the Radio What studios. And this is my podcast, What Makes You Famous. It's an extension of the RadioWhat.com internet radio station that I've been running for quite some time. And if you need DJ services, where do you go? DJLittleRock.com. Let me say that one more time. DJLittleRock.com. Check availability and get a free price quote, and maybe you can have me. I'd be honored to play for you at your next event. I like to party with the people. The honor is mine to play for you, to entertain you. Yes, and I like to play your style. I like to read the crowd. I like to find what you want to hear and play for you. Yeah, it's my honor to make you happy on the happiest times of your life. Yeah, something I do. All right, speaking of partying with the people, today on the program, I have Keenan Foster. Who's Keenan Foster? Well, you're going to know in the next few minutes, so stick around for that. This week's shows. Oh, my goodness. Yes, this is where I usually put the public shows and the private shows. But due to the novel COVID-19 coronavirus, I have no public shows, no private shows, but I do have podcasting. I'm excited about that. I get to talk to people. And one of those people that I'm talking to is today, I'll be talking to Keenan Foster. So I'm going to get him on the Skype. If you're listening to the audio portion of this, it's a good audio conversation. But if you want to see his smiling face, you head over to my YouTube, Keys Dan, and you can find the YouTube video. Yeah, so I got audio and video. So let's go ahead and Skype.
Hello?
Keenan Foster, please.
Yes, sir.
There he is on my screen as I live and breathe. Keenan Foster.
Oh man, I forgot. It's a 2-hour difference. I forgot about that.
Where are you living at?
Oakland, California, baby.
Oh, so it's 5:30 in the p.m. It's currently 7:30 in the p.m. here in Conway, Arkansas. All right. We're on the What Makes You Famous podcast. It's good to see your face, man. I know that Heston Cleveland is very excited to hear this conversation. He already said, ooh, you're going to be talking to my buddy. So I said, man, yeah, I'm excited too. Keenan Foster, give the people a little idea of who you are.
Oh, wow. Well, I am the originator of the Oaktown Funk, if you know what that is.
I do not, man. School me. Oaktown Funk.
So Oaktown Funk is me and Todd Shaw, which is Too Short. So back like 1979, 80, we came in with these type of funky bassline beats and with the 808 and 909, basically calling it the Oaktown Funk. So that is basically the paved way of West Coast hip hop.
I dig it.
Basically.
I mean, I'm familiar with Too Short and his work, definitely. I mean, he definitely made it to the big time. And Keenan Foster, I'm just getting to know who you are right now. You're a writer of hip hop, amongst other things. What? I mean, is it always California? Tell me everything, man. I want to know.
But it's California, like I said, I went to college in Oklahoma. At Langston University, and met my bandmates who are great in their own right now. My lead singers, Jay Lamont, he's a big time comedian and artist, and my other singer, Rick James, it was not that Rick James, but his name was Rick James. He was on Star Search on Comedy Jam. He was on what else was Rick on? A few other. And last night, and our piano player played with Miles Davis, and man, we our whole crew was just lined up. This is like 1982 and 83 and all that stuff, 84.
Man, I come from the 80s. I graduated in 1986, so I'm all about the 80s, the beginnings of hip hop and
Exactly.
old school rap, man. When things were clean, and it seemed like it was just like All right, I remember it was like I'm the best from the east to the west, and up your nose with a rubber hose, and it really wasn't as dirty and as nasty and as down and dirty as it was, as it became.
But unfortunately, with the funky beats that we were doing, everybody wanted to curse and kill everybody and B and H and all that type of stuff on your records, and it just came to a halt with me, man, because I lost a lot of music that way.
Yeah, I'm nobody to limit anybody creatively, but it's hard. It's hard on the kids, if you want to put it out on the airwaves and put it out there to the world and make it free for the people. It's hard if you. If all you got is those words and you don't have any substance behind them, but you got substance behind the words. It's not just cursing for the sake of cursing. There's some substance there as well.
Yeah, well, like I say, I had nothing to do with that. I was strictly music, strictly on the music part of it. They, like I said, that's what they were dealing with, the lyrical part of all that stuff. So I had nothing to do with that, but they associated me with that and I was just doing the music. I
like that, man. You're a creative person. So, I mean, tell the people, okay, you were, let's see, you grew up in California, but you went to school in Oklahoma. What were you doing? What were you studying in Oklahoma when you went out there?
Well, I was a music major at first, but then it didn't work out because I went to I was at a music school in Oakland called Castlemont in 12th grade, and a choir called the Castleers, and our band was Tony. That's how raw we was. Ray Wiggins, Tim, Carl Willard. That was our band in high school. So yeah, we were on top of the heat before they was on top of the heat. You know what I mean? So yeah.
I'm getting an idea of what kind of sound it was. Now you don't have to get so close to the phone. I can see you and I can hear you right there, man. And that way, when I'm taking this video and I put it up on YouTube, people can see your pretty face, man, because you're still beautiful after all these years, man. I can see you and I are getting up in years. I mean, I'm 51 years old. I don't know how old you are, but
7, baby.
What?
7. Yeah.
57. 57, man. So we chewed a lot of the same dirt musically. I know exactly what you're talking about. Of course, I was East Coast. I was born and raised in Miami, Florida, so I'm familiar with the freestyle and the disco and the stuff that was down there. And even in New York, I guess, being New York and Miami have a real close tie. But out there on the West Coast, man, you got your own feel, and you were part of that, man. That's a big history right there. Yeah, I appreciate talking to you.
Yeah. I'm a pioneer, man, but in the closet pioneer, unsung hero, because I didn't get my just due, of course. That's how it usually happens when you're originator of stuff. It usually happens that way, but it's all good. It was done for a reason.
Well, I'm so sad when people get left behind and don't get the credit that they deserve, man. You got to give credit where credit is due. One of the reasons I started this podcast to make sure that people have their voice and get heard and are able to tell their story. I mean, we're growing up in California. And what part of California was it? And tell me about the family life growing up for you, Keenan Foster.
Well, it's East Oakland all the way. We like I say, we grew up in East Oakland. Went to all school in Oakland. The choir stuff in Oakland, the band in Oakland, and everything happened in Oakland. No San Francisco, none of that type of stuff. It was all Oakland.
So what kind of venues, what kind of people were you playing to in Oakland, and what kind of extracurricular activities were you doing in school?
Oh yeah, well back in the day we had a couple of bands. Junior high we had the band, so we were playing all stuff. Junior high was kind of light, but in high school we start playing at venues and at dance halls and that type of stuff, and going to different cities playing. And then we started doing some recording and stuff, and that was like 78, 77, and all that type of stuff. And then that's when it started kicking off. When I got the Moog synthesizer, because I wanted to be like Bernie Worrell and Bootsy Collins. That's what I wanted to be like. So I went and got that.
Yeah, I remember in the early 80s and late 70s, early 80s when synthesizers took over the world, man, and people
Exactly.
that knew how to use them were really making some interesting music. It wasn't just stuck to guitar and real musicians. Yeah, I guess you can quote unquote real musician, somebody who plays guitar or drums or keyboard or knows how to play any kind of a textual instrument. But once those keyboards came out, pretty much anyone. It opened up the possibilities, and you were part of that.
Oh yeah, it also took jobs away. It took away your horn section was gone, your string section was gone. Everybody is fired, man. Everybody's fired now because the keyboards did it all. You know.
Yeah, you had Chicago and Earth, Wind, and Fire. There's probably 20 people in that group while they were up on stage. That's a lot of guys you got to pay. And I'm sure the record companies were very excited to streamline the group down to 3 or 4 members.
It cut cost Cameo and all them with 10, 12 members. All yeah, it cut costs big time, man. When the synthesizers came out, for sure.
So you're saying in junior high you were playing in a band? What kind of music were you grooving to?
Oh, it was all funk, man. We was I'll say Parliament Funkadelic, James Brown, Cameo, all that type of stuff. Brass Construction. We played all that type of stuff.
Man, that's the stuff I like to play on a Friday night to feel good, man. When you want to have that crowd just bumping and grinding and having a good time and just jumping, hopping.
Yeah, that's that real deal right there, baby.
So you were doing covers at the time when you were doing in junior high. When did you start writing music?
Well, like I say, once I got that Moog synthesizer, I would just start doing bass lines and stuff. And they would just coming to me at night. I just wake up at the middle of the night, man. I got this line, and I just go play it and put it on a cassette tape back then. Put it on cassette tape. So I had these cassette tapes full of bass lines, and man, just incredible.
That sounds incredible, man. I'm stoked to be listening to this. This is like history. This is a history lesson for any of the kids that are listening right now.
Most definitely.
You know,
What happened?
that you were playing. I mean, who were you playing with? You when you first started and you got that Moog synthesizer, who were you making beats for?
Like I said, when it first started, it was just me by myself, right? And then me and my cousin I went to New York City,
New York
1979.
City. See, that's the time in New York
1979,
City.
Brooklyn, New York. My cousin, Brooklyn, New York, man. I learned so much about hip hop and rap and all that stuff when I went there in 1979. Basically, that was basically my start seeing what was going on in the rap game. I'm like, wow, I can do this on the West Coast. So, he was rapping. He was like 12 years old, man. He was from Brooklyn, but he was a hell of a rapper. So we were just doing beats, me and him just doing beats, and he rapping on top of beats, and we just doing that. On top of that, then my cousin out here from Oakland, his name was MC Quick. And we called him Nauru, and him got into it, and he was doing his thing with Chaos. David Chaos, they was from West Oakland. And so that's basically the board of directors, the people I just named, along with Too Short and Jerry Hodges. That's basically the board of directors for the Oakland side. That's it right there. Yeah.
When you went
If I
to
didn't name your name right there, you wasn't involved.
now, when you went to Brooklyn in 1979, what kind of trouble were you getting into? What kind of adventures were you getting into? Because the West Side and the East Side have been traditionally a kind of a thing. I'm gonna say quote unquote battle. Where you got this style on the West Side, and you got that style on the East Side, but you were mixing up flavors, man. You were getting both sides.
It was love in Brooklyn. They love me. They love Oakland because I'm saying Oakland and Brooklyn is like the same. We just a little smaller, but we mirrored each other. So it was a good connection to Oakland and Brooklyn. I had no issues. I had a lot of cousins already that were out there, OGs at Gershwin Park. I'm playing basketball in the park with the OGs and all that. Man, it was like I say, it was New York that was my first time there too at that point. So you already know how it was like a shock,
Now, Keenan, so you're talking about the early days of hip hop when it was the Wild West. People were sampling left and right. It was like, taking pieces of music over here, taking pieces of music over there, putting them in your little synthesizer, putting them in your recorder, looping it, and then you had an MC rapper rapping over the top of it. I mean, tell me about the early days, man, because I remember when that music came out, and then people started saying, "Hey, that's my intellectual property." What kind of stuff did you run into with that?
Exactly what had happened, and we were doing original bass lines. So the original bass lines was what me and Too Short was doing, and then I got this idea with me and my cousin. Hey man, I did a bass line for this Parliament song. So like early, like before anybody ever did thinking about doing some Parliament funkadelic. So I did a bass line on that, and man, it was like wow. And ever since then, we just started doing, man, get a bass line from Ohio players, get a bass line from Zap, get a bass line from Cameo, get a bass line, we started doing, but we were playing it over. We weren't doing the actual sample. We would actually get the song and play it over. So that's why we had that different sound. We had got that West Coast sound because we were playing the samples over instead of people just playing the actual record. The DJ playing to go play the record. If you can play it, you play it.
Yeah, Keenan Foster. I know that's how the kids are getting away with it now. They put it in their Pro Tools and kind of, change the sound. You'll never know that it was your beat, even though it was your beat. Originally, it was sampled, and back in the day, you can actually recognize that was that was James Brown's Funky Drummer. I remember that. That beat was stolen, was used so many times. I mean, but you were making your own.
But trust me, I'm a high school music teacher right now. So I teach kids. I teach kids music. So I got a little studio in the back and blah 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 blah. So these cats are doing songs, and they put they do I guess 12 little snippets of 12 different songs, and they put together and make one song. I mean, it was hitting. It sounded good, but they couldn't tell me what note to play, what note was it, what key was it in, what none of that type of stuff. So I'm trying to teach them that now. So I'm like, hey, you can do that, but you need to know how to play it, man. You need to know get to the keyboard, hit the note, play the song. It's simple, more simple than you think it is. And once I showed it to them, it's like, wow. So I got cats playing now instead of doing it straight Pro Tools sample. They're trying to play the stuff.
Well, Keenan Foster, who was the first person that got you into music? Who got you thinking, hey, man, I could be a music man. I could be part of this. Was it mom or dad, or was it brothers and sisters, friends?
It's a list of cats. Well, first, at home with mom and dad, my mom when she was Motown and all that type of stuff, and my dad was straight blues. It's the blues cats. So I got all that at home as a youngster, and then keyboard player, Heston's father, Bill Cleveland, Rodney Franklin, who was a jazz keyboardist, is my cousin, and Eric Daniels played with Mariah Carey, a couple other people. They were my family back in the day. They taught me how to play keyboards like 6, 7, and 8, 9. You know what I'm saying? Just to play the little chords and little lines and stuff. And once I took off with that, I was doing a lot of singing. I was a singer. So I was always in the choir and doing that type of stuff. So music, I was always on the music. But once I got that Moog synthesizer, that was it. That was it.
Man, that is cool. And the gang, man, I'm listening to you talk about this and feeling the excitement in your voice that when you first started, you got hooked. I mean, it seems like music turned into your life, and you knew Heston Cleveland like from way back when you knew
his dad.
His dad.
Heston used to be a DJ. Heston used to be one of my DJs. Heston used to be scratching, man. Heston was a good DJ back in the day. Heston was good.
Well, that's cool. It's nice to have a DJ if you're an MC, and you were singing up in the front. Were you doing any rapping, or was it all singing, or what kind of stuff were you doing?
On my singing stuff, like I said, I didn't start doing no singing stuff till college with my band and stuff. Back in the day, it was all me doing the hip hop and playing the beats and stuff. The cats really didn't know I was singing back then because I wasn't doing no singing with them. It was all it wasn't no singing really involved in that music. You know what I mean? It was just straight bass lines and whatever it was.
Well, tell me about that Moog. I'm familiar with it. I've kind of seen one, and I never had the chance to use one too much. But is that something that you take up on stage and do beats live for an MC for a singer?
Back in the day, yeah. I mean, like I say, I mean now, like I say, I don't know what they do now. They basically doing tracks now. Ain't nobody doing nothing live no more. So if they do live, if they got to move, you gonna have all them Parliament Funkadelic, Roger Troutman sounds. You have all them sounds. If you got that move synthesizer and the strings and all other little parts, man, that move something else, man. The mini move, the micro move, both of them.
Now, Keenan Foster, after all these years being a DJ, I could still appreciate seeing a live band up on stage. I would love if I was back in the day when Chicago's up there, when Earth, Wind, and Fire, and with their 20 band members, just to see all those people grooving together. I mean, that must have been something. Did you ever get a chance to see some of those people or work with some of those people?
Man, I see them in their heyday, baby. I see them all in their heyday. That's why I can't go to a concert with these new cats and they I'm Earth, Wind, and Fire. Hey, I can't see Earth, Wind, and Fire if Maurice White ain't there. Because I seen it when Maurice White was there. You feel me? So it's not gonna be the same for me. So I seen the Temptations when they were the Temptations. I seen James. He was James. You know what I'm saying? I seen Earth, Wind, and Fire. I seen them when they were when they who they were. No
It's
knockoffs.
Yeah, it's tough when we start to get older and our heroes that we grew up with start to fall away, pass away. But at least they leave a legacy, man. And Keenan Foster,
Exactly.
that's something that you're doing is helping to leave a legacy.
Oh yeah, man. Like I said, if your music is good, it's gonna play from here on out, man. Ella Fitzgerald and Louis Armstrong and Nat King Cole is still playing today. You feel me?
Absolutely, man. It's some radio station's going to be playing it. Some DJ is going to be playing it at a club on 70s night or 80s night or 60s night even. That's still out there. It's nice to be able to have that power to make some music, to make something that makes people feel and it lasts for a long, long time. I mean, shoot, even the greats, you think about Beethoven and Tchaikovsky and all those people way back when. They lasted for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of years. And that's
Look,
something that potentially Keenan Foster can do.
look, and this listen to what you just said. Let me tell you, you just said something that I tell people all the time. White folks should not be putting Elvis and the Rolling Stones and the Beatles and all on a pedestal. All those cats were knockoffs to blues, to rhythm and blues. Mozart, Bach, Brahms, Beethoven, man, them are original cats, man. Without that classical music, man, there ain't no funk. Ain't no funk without classical, man. You feel
Well, yeah, they were teaching people how to put notes in a certain order. It's like telling a story.
ain't
Here
no
you are.
there ain't no chord structures without the classical cats, man. So yeah, those cats are big time originators, man. Big time.
Man, Keenan Foster, it's not like I'm teaching the music teacher. You've been teaching the kids. And like I said, you can stand right there, man. I can see your face and I can hear your voice.
Hey, I'm trying to teach them, man, but they lost, man. We lost today, man. I hate to say it, man. We are lost musically today.
Well, I'm sure as a teacher, man, and I've never been a teacher, but I mean, people have told me through the years that I have the compassion, the steadiness to where I don't blow up at people too much. That I could be a teacher, and maybe I miss my calling. But you're out there, man. You're helping the kids to grow and learn. And music is so important, man. For anybody that thinks that, we got to cut a little bit of money in the budget. Let's cut the music. No, 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 no. That's not where you cut it, man. That's where
Man,
people.
you're preaching, man, preaching. Because look, in the inner city where I work, they've already cut the music programs in the elementary and middle school. So when they get to the high school, to my level, to my class, these cats can't read no music or nothing like that. We started from the beginning. But if you go to these big affluent schools in San Francisco and Walnut Creek and Livermore and all these places, oh man, they're thriving, man, music because they don't cut the programs early, man, like they do in the inner city.
Man, that just shows you have the love and the compassion. I mean, you got out of school in Oklahoma. Was that what you were learning in school? Was that education maybe, or all music?
At first, but then I say it wasn't working out musically out there, so I changed my major to business. So it took me an extra year and a half to graduate because of that. But it was cool, you know.
No, but it's nice to have that in your pocket, man. People, people that are in any business need to have some kind of a business knowledge, or you're going to get ripped off up and down the way. I'm sure. Did you ever get into it with
I'm,
any record labels
I'm
at
already
all?
I've already been ripped off up and down the way. So you know, I don't want to do nobody else like that, and don't want to get done like that ever again. So.
See, that gives you that knowledge and wisdom. If you've been done like that and you didn't like it, you're not going to do anybody like that. And it seems like you're a very good person. You're a nice person. And a lot of people are going to take advantage of that. People think, oh, you're a nice guy. Oh, you'll do this job that I should be paying you $1,000. You'll do it for 100, right? It's okay. 100, just this time. You need some exposure, right? Exposure. How many times can you hear that? Oh, you need exposure. Go ahead and do that thing for free.
Right.
No, that ain't right. That ain't cool at all, man. You
Oh,
put blood, sweat, and tears into making something. You're a creative person,
yeah,
Keenan
yeah.
Foster. And you're the maestro. Is that what they call you, the maestro?
I,
How
that's
long
right.
is it? How long they been calling you the maestro?
Oh man, since junior high school.
How did you end up being a maestro in junior high? That people saw that you were so wise already
I,
that
I,
you
I was
could be
always, I was,
teacher.
I was always getting choirs together and getting people to singing together. So I was the maestro. Before I was even doing the hip hop music stuff. I was doing the choir stuff. So I was the
Man, you were
maestro.
allowed to do this. Keenan Foster, that's impressive. Even at that young age, that people knew that you were a leader already. You were leading people together, getting them together to jam together, forming a choir. That's man. It's one thing to sing by yourself, and I'm no singer by any means. I do karaoke jams on the weekends, but to put a whole group of people, I mean, to getting them all to sound good. Oh, you sing the high parts, you sing this part. Man, tell me about that, putting a choir together.
Oh man, I've been doing that since oh man. Well, I had my first core group my real core group was like at church, like 12 of us kids. We were like 10, 11, 12. Then on to college, I had my group in college who I paired after my high school choir group. And we were doing all the spirituals and the gospel and the classicals and the pop and the jazz. We were doing everything, R&B stuff. We were doing it all. And then when I get back home, I got my choir at church, choir at school. I got 2 community choirs, and oh yeah, I got choirs.
Man, it seems like a lot of people, that's where it starts, in church. You got those good acoustics. You got those people that are all together, feeling good, feeling that love, and when you sing, and I'm guessing, do you still have a faith that praising the Lord, that kind of thing? How's your
oh,
faith doing these days?
oh man, it's on top, man. I wouldn't be nowhere without him. So that's my focus. He the one got me to where I am today. So that's where I'm at.
Well, that says something about you, Keenan Foster. I've been into many, many churches, and there's one through line. It's the fellowship, people getting together and just feeling good, and loving each other, and that's the way it should be. I mean, how you holding up? I mean, okay. When did you start doing the teaching? How long ago was that?
Well, I started like in '97. Then they weren't paying enough, so I was a banker for 20 years, man. Like a sales manager at a bank for years, a personal banker, doing that type of stuff. But then 2 years ago, I was like, man, I need to go back to my calling, which is music. So I got back to it. And then I'm with it. I'm staying with it.
Well, Keenan Foster, I mean, there's so much more to you. There definitely is. There's a lot of stories, and I know this. I don't like to do an interview. I like to have a conversation with people and learn about them at the same time. And in the while I'm doing that, my listeners get to listen as well and find out more about you, Keenan Foster. And you notice I've been saying your name a lot because I definitely want people to have that drilled into their head. It's Keenan Foster. That's who you have to look up when you finish this podcast. You have to look him up and find out more about him. But I know that there's more to your music career. I mean, when you got out of junior high and college, was it straight to music? Was it touring? Was it staying
No,
in East Oakland?
it was my boy Jerry Hodges and Dean Hodges. It was called 7-5 Girls. They had a record company in East Oakland. This was like before Def Jam. This was before Bad. This was before, oh man, even for all these cats.
What year was
7
this?
Girls.
The 1975 then?
No. The label was called 7-5 Girls. This was like 1980, 81, 82, early 80s type of thing.
Yeah, that makes sense because you're not that much older than me. I'm only 6 years, if that. So I know that even, I'm sorry, I said 75. You must have been a little baby by that time. So
I was 12 at 75.
yeah,
I was in my groove musically in 75, baby. I was in my funk and James Brown and man, it was going in 75. Get
dude,
that.
and I'm spending all my money on records.
Oh, most definitely.
I know there was a little record shop on the corner, maybe a couple of years later, in the early 80s, whenever I would stop on that corner. And most of the time I was going to the local arcade, and right next door was a record store. And every time I pulled my car up, he would say, "Hey, Dan, over here. I got some new jams for you. I got some new records. Come check it out." He saw me coming. He knew I was the guy that was DJing all the parties in school, in high school. So he knew where to come. But I'm guessing that you spent a lot of time in music shops and stuff like that. But do you play any instruments besides that Moog synthesizer?
Just to keep it start out like on the drums, took drum lessons, and I'm a classically trained singer, so I was taking singing lessons classically, and then drum, and then the keyboards. Just those like those three. With a musical ear with everything, horns and strings. I God gave me that of the ear. Well,
I noticed that on your your Discogs, you got a lot of tracks out there that are attributed to you. When did you start putting stuff? When did you start going to a studio and laying down tracks? And who were you with at that time?
Like I said, well, early back in the day, it was like that 7-5 Girls. We would just be going to a room, just making a bunch of beats and making a bunch of beats, and all of a sudden, these songs would be end up on two albums and stuff. And like, man, my name ain't on nothing. I ain't heard nothing. It was kind of shady back in the day until I got the lawyer for the album Short Dogs in the House, where they had to put my name on everything. And we had Boys in the Hood. They had to put my name on the Boys in the Hood soundtrack and all that stuff. Started about once I got the lawyer, and then once that happened, I fell off because of that. It's a trip.
I see. Back then, if you're on Too Short's albums, I see you on Short But Funky, Boys in the Hood for sure, Short's Dogs in the House. Those are some great albums, man. Those are some turning points in rap and hip hop. Too Short was no joke, that's for sure. And you playing with the likes of him having you back him up, that had to be great. Did you remain acquaintances or good with Too Short, or did something happen back in the day where
like I said, we cool, but he said, cats still owe me money, man. So that stuff go.
Things happen. It's like any business, even any family. When people get together, greed becomes a part of it. I think is one thing, and then maybe jealousy. Where one person might have more talent than the other, or might be getting more recognition than the other. And hey, there's so many different reasons why people break apart, break up. But I'm sad that people affected you.
Yeah, like I say, it's. Yeah, I like I say, back in the day, I try to move forward with some new stuff. You know, hopefully some new stuff will come about, and try to start this new label thing. Got to get some artists coming out and everything. So things start turning around for the different.
All right. Well, Keenan Foster. I mean, there's so much that you could be talking about. There's so many stories. I mean, playing in front of how many people were you playing in front of, and when you were at your biggest, and how did things flow? Were you playing clubs? Were you playing arenas? Were you playing? And when was all this? And
Man,
more, man.
Did a couple of arenas, did the club arenas, did the little stuff, the big stuff. Yeah, we did, man. We did the whole thing, man. We did the whole thing. And
was it all over the country or mostly in California?
Oh yeah, well yeah, mostly in California. Well, like I say, but mostly in California. But when we were doing the band thing, we would couple different states.
Yeah. So 75 Girls, how far did that go? What kind of records were you producing with them?
Oh, that's the first rap label from Oakland. You know what I'm saying? That's Too Short's first label. I say Dean Hodges and Jerry Hodges. And then basically I had me playing keyboards for him. You know, they had a couple other groups and stuff, but Too Short was the main card that had them going. And then, of course, people like the greed and all that stuff got in the way once again, and that fizzled, and we started some other stuff, and then the rest is we're gonna do Jive Records, all the way to Jive.
Yeah, I see it turned into Jive, and then you got A&D Records was in there as well, and Freestyle Records. I guess dealing with record companies for the most part, I mean, you hear the stories. I've heard the stories. I've never had to be in a record label, but I've heard the stories where they'll take all you are is a number to them. You take they want to take your blood and your soul for the most part, and they'll take all the rewards, and they go, here's a check for $10,000, and to somebody who's never had $10,000, that seems like a big deal. But how much money are they making, right? Have you ever had that experience where they handed you a big bag of money?
Hey man, the record company is the most corrupt business in the world today, and it's been like that since the beginning, since the 1800s, man. It continues to that point, but until really would change it is the independent rappers like Jay-Z and Puffy and all them type of cats. They changed the game when it came to that. They Dr. Dre and all that type of stuff. Nice and all that. They changed that. Where the companies had to go to the independent label now. Now they have to. The little guy going to the big guy. The big guy is going to the little guy. So now the game has changed, So now with the little guy can be the big guy now. And with the internet, anybody can be the big guy now. So
and for under $1,000, you can have your own recording studio in your house. And people, I think the record companies are running scared. What do you think?
They are scared because, like I said, basically don't need you guys anymore. You can promote worldwide on CD, baby, for $50. They'll have you on Spotify and Amazon and iTunes and everywhere else. You in Japan, you in India, you in all these places. It's all about your music now. If your music is appealing and people like your music, they gonna hear your music. You know what I mean? The record company, I don't need you taking all my money to do anything. A different ball now.
Yeah, well, Keenan Foster, you've seen it from you. There's kids now that are just in a digital age. They're never going to know what it was to get a record album and see the liner notes, see the visual and all the artwork on there, and find out more about the band while they're you drop that platter on the turntable, and then you read the liner notes as you're listening to the music. You look at the artwork. Oh, that's pretty nice. While you're listening to the jams, tell me what your experience is from when records used to be where all the money was made, and now I guess you got to go live to make money. I mean, how are people making money between then and now?
Yeah, you just said it. So back in the day, we had to record on reel to reel. So basically, when you're on the reel to reel, if the song is 10 minutes long, then I have to play that bass line for 10 minutes long. There ain't no loop. Cause now today I can play a 1 bar loop. I can play the bass line one single time, and they can loop that line all the way through. And I gotta play it one time. Back in the day, it wasn't so. You had to play it you got to keep cutting. Ain't no cutting and dropping and none of that type of stuff. You had to play it correctly all the way through. Strings, bass, lead, whatever it was, it's real to real. So you had to play it, man. It ain't no digital age. It got people just so you handicap, in addition.
I mean, I definitely know how to cut and splice. I know what reel to reel is. Where you had, if you have, well, mostly, my experience with reel to reel is making commercials, which is a whole lot easier because all you got to do is cut out a word. Maybe I stuttered one time, and we want to take that word out, and you don't want to record it all over again. So you take that word, you cut the tape, and you splice. And you see on the computer it says cut and paste still, because that's what you used to do. You actually used to take a razor blade, cut it, put it together, put a piece of tape there, paste it together, and that's what
but you can only do that a couple of times. You can't do that through your whole song because it sound like a bumpy ride roller coaster. Your song, that's why you can only certain spots you can do that. If it's really important, okay, we're gonna cut and paste it. But other than that, and go do that over with, man. Do that over with. Do it over again. Yeah.
Well, Keenan Foster, tell me about your thoughts on the sound between analog and digital. I mean, what the difference is in your ears. You said you had a really good ear for music and singing and listening to things. I mean, what are your thoughts between analog and digital?
Well, like I say, analog it's gonna always be real. I'm saying if you got a bass and acoustic guitar, some cellos and violas, and all that, the banjos, and you got all this stuff playing. That's acoustic and that's analog stuff, man. And you never ever get a sound like that ever again. I don't care what they do. But now, on the flip side of that, with digital, like I say, it gives you more sound because now it's more drum machine, like you get all these different sounds and a lot of what they call it, special effects, a lot of special effects in songs and stuff, So you got all that stuff in the digital that you didn't have with the analog, But give me analog, give me that any day before digital.
But it seems like you've kept up with everything over the years. And okay, and now as a teacher, on and off since 97, but really for the last few years, really buckling down and teaching the kids. Do you start back in the beginning? I mean, I know I had a reel-to-reel machine at a station that I was working back in the early 2000s. We still had a reel-to-reel back there just to play with. But do you take them back to the beginning where they cut and splice? Or is it all starting with the digital stuff, or what are you teaching the kids?
We basically we can't start with back with that. So basically, like I said, inner city in band class, we can't play like I said in San Francisco when in the high school choir, high school band, when they coming in Monday morning, 8:00, put the chart in front of them, let's go, let's start playing. These cats don't even know the notes on the keyboard. So we start with E, G, B, D, F and FACE and all that stuff, man. We starting from the beginning, man. So this is a music 101 with these cats, man.
Well, sadly, I never played an instrument. I have guitars sitting in my closet that I've plucked on here and there over the years. But I see a musician up on stage, a guitarist, a drummer, a bassist, a keyboardist doing their thing, and I'm amazed. It's like magic, man. You're putting your fingers on this piece of equipment, and bam, here comes this beautiful melodic tune that people are feeling. There's people closing their eyes and thinking about things. That's the power of a musician. That's a power you have, man.
Yeah, that's power. You got that right. And if you're reading, you can kind of tell if somebody's reading. I always say it's more mechanical when you're reading, But if you're people that just with their ear and they just play with the soul and their feel, you can feel it, man. You can really feel it.
Absolutely, man. You're bringing that to the kids, man. You're bringing a whole nother generation, and I'm sure that all the kids in your class. I mean, I don't know how many kids are in any given class, but they're bringing their own styles, their own feelings of what they want to do musically, of what they want to play. The quote unquote band geeks. It's a certain kind of person, even at that age, that falls into music rather than being a jock or a cheerleader or a science geek, whatever, what have you. Being in the band, it's a certain kind of person, and you're guiding them. What are they bringing to you? When you start teaching them the classics, you say, look, go back before James Brown and before Elvis Presley and all that stuff, and go back to Beethoven. How do they feel? How do they react to that?
Oh yeah, well basically I give them. I start with I do the classical. And I do start from the musical tree from the Negro spirituals to the all the music today. From ragtime to blues to jazz to gospel to hip hop, country to rock, soft rock, heavy metal. Man, it's a religion, man. All you Methodist, Baptist, your Presbyterian, it's one God, man. You know what I'm saying? It's God. All this other stuff y'all naming, I don't know about all. All I know is God. Just like in music, I know it's blues. I know it's rhythm and blues, but y'all make all this other stuff. They make all this. I know what it is, man. And all American music is from one art form. It's one, and that's what it is. And I try to teach them that. I got a lot of Latinos in my class. So I got to teach them, our culture of music and teach them their culture. They didn't even know. I'm going back to Celia Cruz and all them. They didn't even know who that was. I'm like, wait a minute, man. Come on, man. You don't know who Celia Cruz is? And that's like the godmother of salsa. If you don't do any type of salsa music, you don't know who she is. So I'm going back to their early artists well to get them on that. So that's like my first thing. Going back when we get back in August, is we start with the Latin music, because you guys are stuff.
Well, I'm from South Florida, from Miami. I'm half Cuban, so I know who Celia Cruz is. I know who Tito Puente is. In fact, I played with I've met up and done some shows with Tito Puente Jr., and that man is still keeping his father's soul alive with his timbales and doing his drums. It's like watching him all over again.
Right, Tito, the originator. Joe Bean, all them cats, man. I got Antoine, Carlos. I've got those cats, man. I got a list of these cats that I learned about. Who like the originators are. I'm a big thing on the original cats. The cats that paved the way for everybody else, and Tito was definitely one of those cats, man. Sure.
Man, Keenan Foster, sounds like you had a musical education before you gave a musical education. You've already been through it, man. You've learned it all, or at least a good portion of it. It's hard to learn it all, but you don't have any limits when it comes to your styles of music. You take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and everybody gets along together. Now, when you're doing your music classes, are some of your assignments for the kids? Do they record their own music or write their own songs? What kind of study?
I have a couple students that's doing that right now. Sound pretty good. I have a couple that's trying, but that doesn't sound anything. But I have this one guy. He sounds pretty good, and I'm gonna be working with him a little bit more coming up. When the fall comes, because he has a couple things going on. So I recognize the talent in him.
Well, that's just it. You're seeing exactly what happens probably with the record companies. We go back to that, where somebody will have a little bit more talent and get a little bit more response, and they'll work with them a little bit more on that. But, even that guy that's not doing as well, he's got something to offer as well. If he's got a passion or she's got a passion, she's going to keep going. No matter what you think, no matter what you say, they're going to keep going. And I hope that they don't get dropped along the way. You never know, man. There might be a little diamond in the rough. You just got to buff it a little bit and get that diamond out there, right?
It's a bunch of them, because it's a couple of girls in my class. They're in the 9th grade, and they really can play piano, man. If they would just buckle down and practice, they can really play, man. And I keep telling them, like, man, you two, I'm gonna buy you guys a keyboard because they don't have a keyboard at home. I'm gonna buy them a keyboard, take it to their house, and tell their mother and father make sure they practice every day because they can beat somebody. They're really that good. They can just hear, and then when I give them the notes to play, it's like it's real simple for them, man. But they don't practice. They don't take the time to sit down and practice. That's the young folks. They don't have the attention span we once had back in the day. They don't have that.
Keenan Foster, you're starting to sound like Allen Iverson talking about practice. Just talking about practice. No, but you're a sweet man to be wanting to buy a keyboard for them because you see something in these folks, and all they have to do is sit down and practice their skills, and they can become something. You see something in them. That's the power of a teacher. Not only you that makes music, but now you're teaching music. You're becoming. That's something we got to be doing, is for anybody that's listening that has any kind of experience. And I tell everybody has a story, but if you got any kind of experience, once you get to a certain age, like in their 50s, like you and I, you got to start teaching somebody else and get that next generation. Keep that going, right?
Exactly. I think I said we jumped in. They dropped the ball when they cut out the in the inner city. So I'm trying to get it back slowly but surely, man. But they dropped the ball in the inner city, man. Now no more Miles Davis, no more Duke Ellington, no more Louis Armstrong. You won't get those cats no more, man. So, and that hurts me, you know.
Well, and definitely I give it up to the scientists and even the jocks that are out there, making their bodies strong and doing that. But, the scientists for sure, they're going to be the ones saving the world. And as we're recording this here in May of 2020, we're going on with this pandemic, coronavirus out there, COVID-19. How's that been doing for you? Has that been affecting you at all?
Oh man, I never watched so much TV in my life. Man, I watch every program there is right now. So it's tough right now being inside a lot.
Well, I know that in California, where you are, they definitely have locked you down. So it's like 40.5 million people locked up in jail. I've talked to a few people from California over the last couple of weeks here on this podcast, and I'm getting the stories, man. But man, we got to break out of this. I hope it's not as bad as they think it is. I hope they're overblowing this in history, that we'll figure out that we did too much. I think the most fear is that we don't have a cure for it. That's the problem, right?
Exactly. That's the most part. Once they get that going, a vaccine or something, then we back to normal then, because then everybody can feel safe that you got something. If I do get it, you got something for me.
Yeah. I mean, the one thing that I worry about is people that live alone. Are you living alone, or you got people with you, or people that come by every once in a while?
Oh, I know. I live alone, so but I do have every blue moon I go out or somebody come over, but not too many. Want to try to keep it.
See, that's the people I worry about the most, man. All right. Hey, if you're near Keenan Foster, you go visit. Go get up on his on his porch step and say hello, right? Make sure that man's got, food is one thing, water is one thing, but some good companionship, man. Somebody to talk to. That's nice, man. And I'm glad I'm talking to you, Keenan Foster.
I got this up and coming artist that's going to be coming out with a single in the next couple of weeks that I want to get her on your podcast so you can give her an interview.
Well, that's where I'm at right now, man. We know where you're from and where you're at, and I think this is a perfect time to give shout outs for people and talk about people that have helped you out along the way. This is like free time for you. Any other avenues you want to explore as we wind down?
Oh yeah, I understand. We got the record label King Pro Records, and we have a single coming out from Christina Bennett called Favela, and it's a mixture of it's Brazilian jazz. So she's singing in Portuguese and English. It's off the hook. It's off the hook.
See, that sounds great, man. One of the best weddings that I did down in the Florida Keys was a Brazilian wedding. Those people were partying like crazy. It was a Brazilian lady that married a white guy, and oh my goodness, that was one of the best parties. I remember the date too. It was July 31st, 2000. Oh my goodness, 2007 or 2008. It was the same day that Chuck Berry was playing in the Florida Keys in Key Largo, one of his last tours that he was playing. 2007, I think it must have been. Maybe it was a little even earlier, but I remember it was July 31st. I got to look back, but yeah, that was a wedding, man. Brazilian. Oh, yeah. You got me excited now. I want to play that on my radio station.
I'm gonna get it to you, and then I say once you play it, then I want you to do an interview with her once you play it a few times or whatever.
Oh, that's fantastic. That sounds great. So tell me about Keen Pro Records, or what else you've been up to. How did that start, and when did that start?
It started by with me and this lady. She wanted to like do some Brazilian jazz, and she was real good, and we same level musically. I like, well, let's get this stuff out, and then do some other stuff, some other groups as well. So just like it'd be like the first, she'd be like the first act, coming out. And then we'll go from there after that to try to get some rappers, singers, and some country artists. Try to do the whole get down, trying to do the whole label, not just hip hop. That's I'm coming Brazilian jazz first, something totally different.
That's great, Keenan Foster. That's something brand new that we're just learning about right now. That's almost like an exclusive here. So, and beyond that, you're also a part of another podcast. What's Shut Up and Talk?
I don't know. All this stuff is new to me, Dan. Your first podcast today.
Okay, well, yeah, I had you down. I was looking on your Facebook. I guess maybe that's something else that's going on. But I'm learning about you, and I'm finding out more about you, and I'm excited to know you, man. And I want to keep up with you as time progresses. Any other shout outs you want to give?
Oh man, I just shout out to Almighty God who's making everything possible, and blessings to everyone in Oaktown.
Well, all right, Keenan Foster, as we wind things down, usually I finish up with last words for the people. Keenan Foster, you can talk about, words to live by, something you've heard throughout your life, something profound that you words that you live by, or whatever pops up into your head at this particular moment in time. Keenan Foster, last words for the people.
Well, it's my ruffle a few feathers now. Now this is what I call. Everybody know what a farce is, right? This is the four farces in music. Number one, the king of jazz, Paul Whiteman. Wrong answer. That would be Louis Armstrong, without a doubt, hands down. The next one, the king of swing, Benny Goodman. Wrong answer again. That could easily be Louis Armstrong again, but I'm gonna give that to Duke Ellington. The next one, king of rock and roll, Elvis Presley. Once again, I'm gonna get it to two cats who just passed. That would be Chuck Berry and Little Richard. And last but not least, the British invasion. How you invade us playing our music? You feel me? Come on, man. Come on, man. And
well, there you have it, party people. Keenan Foster. I knew it was going to be a good time. I knew he had some knowledge. I didn't know he had that much knowledge. That man has been all over these United States perfecting his craft, and he's also teaching the kids. Yeah, don't cut the music programs in your school. You're going to need that. I mean, yeah, it's one thing to be a scientist and a jock, and I do appreciate the people that get the, fine-tune their bodies, but we're finding out right now at this moment in time that Yeah, the scientists are pretty important too, and the people need to be entertained as well. I feel, at this moment in time, while we're in this pandemic, especially, including myself, I don't get to do parties on the weekends anymore like I used to, and I feel for all the musicians that pour their hearts out just for you, for your entertainment, for your pleasure, that are creating things so while you're in your car, while you're driving around, you got something to listen to. You want to have a good party? You want to play some music. What if there's no more music, right? What if they cut all the programs and Keenan Foster can't teach the kids about Beethoven and Mozart and Chuck Berry and Little Richard and Elvis Presley and all these people? He's teaching everything, a little bit from column A, from column B, column C, column D, and putting it all together, mashing it up and making it into music and teaching the kids that don't limit themselves. I could hear it. Every time he talked about different people that he worked with and different people that he played with and different people that he was listening to. I could hear it in his voice and I could see it in his face that he was excited about all that. And I was excited to talk to him about that. I appreciate that. And I'm glad that you stuck around and listened to this program and possibly even watched me on YouTube or us on YouTube and checked it all out. Yeah. So adding a little bit to the What Makes You Famous podcast. I've only just started recording the visual and put it all on Skype. I'm learning, okay? It's a learning process. I know the first 180 episodes are mostly audio only, but we're getting some video, all right? So if you're still listening to the audio portion, please do it, man. I listen to audio podcasts all the time, but now I got a little visual, a little more flavor. All right. If you want to tell your story, you. If you want to tell your story, I encourage you to give me a call at 501-470-6386 or email info@radiowhat.com. That's it for me. It's Keys Dan, radiowhat.com, djlittlerock.com. Peace. I'm out of here.